Lawyers of Reddit, what's the stupidest case you've been asked to take on? And did you? My father is a patent attorney, and when I was around 14 he told me about a guy who wanted to patent the iPhone 3 because aliens had given him the design for it. My father told him that if the aliens originally designed, then they were the ones that had to patent it, not him. I had a client come in saying that he needed to sue Stu for robbing all his checks. When I asked him if Stu had a last name, he said no. When I asked him if he knew any Stu, he said no. When I asked him what proof he had that Stu was robbing him, he showed me all of his pay stubs. There were clear monthly deductions by SCU. As soon as I saw it, I knew. I asked, "Do you have children?" He said yes. I then told him, "Your Stu is the SCU, the support collection unit. They take money out of your check to pay for your child." He left the office insisting that we needed to find Stu. Woman wanted me to sue McDonald's because their employees beat up her son, who was trying to rob the place. A lady in prison in my state tried to sue the State Department of Corrections for holding her against her will. Her lawyer wouldn't touch it. Clients wanted to sue because there were no strawberries in her fruit salad which she bought from a supermarket. Thankfully a secretary was able to screen the call. She asked if the packet said it had strawberries, and the response was, "No, but I thought it would have." I don't know how these people manage to make it through life. I am a personal injury lawyer in the UK. I took a call from a potential client that had fallen down the stairs in her own home. She had tripped over her own cat. She told me that she wanted to sue her local authority as her home was owned by the council and she was not allowed to keep pets as part of her lease. She claimed that when the house was inspected she was not told to get rid of the cat. It was therefore the council's fault that she fell down the stairs. We didn't take the case on. My mother said that at a law firm she used to work at many years ago they had received a call from a gentleman that wanted to file a lawsuit against Walt Disney. When asked why he was filing suit he claimed that the Disney characters were coming out of the TV and stealing food from his refrigerator. They told him they'd take the case for an advance fee of $100,000 and never heard back from him. A guy found a rock in the middle of Melbourne CBD that he believed came from an underground volcano. Therefore he discovered the volcano, and he owned the volcano and that the Melbourne City Council and indeed the Victorian government should pay him rent to live on top of his underground volcano. No, I did not take on the case. One prospective client wanted me to sue Burger King for no longer serving pancakes. My dad is an in-house lawyer for a major American insurance company. He once spent an entire year trying to help deny insurance benefits for a painter who had stepped off his ladder onto a cat, fallen down the stairs and become paralyzed. The insurance company was arguing that a cat was a commonly expected occupational hazard for a painter, and that he was negligent in not checking for cats before stepping down a whole year of his life over whether a cat is a known occupational hazard of house painting. Worked as IT for a family law firm. One day a lady comes in asking to have an attorney look at her divorce. She goes in with the lawyer and tells him she wants the divorce on the grounds that he was beating her. The attorney explained that he would be willing to do it, but advised that because the marriage was so short, just a few months, the easiest way to get a divorce and get away from her abuser was just to file a no fault and get it over with. She starts yelling, throwing things at, and hitting him. Mind you, he is an older guy in his late 60s at this point, telling him that if she could get 4 other divorces from him then she could do it a 5th. She had married and divorced the same guy 4 times before this. The firm didn't take the case, but our sister firm, what we called the firm our firm split off of, did take on the guy's case. Turns out she had actually been the abusive one, basically holding him and their kids hostage with threats of telling the police he was assaulting the kids and beating her. When I was a summer associate, I worked on a case where a lady was suing her apartment complex because she walked out of her unit, slipped on duck poop, and injured herself. We were at the apt complex. The associate I was working for told me to slip as many bird-based puns into the motion/pleadings as possible. I happily obliged. I run a consumer advocacy firm. I had a client come in and tell me that he bought a product, and the company refused to honor the warranty after the product broke. I asked for details, and he just started screaming in my face asking if I was going to take his money or not. I decided then that I wasn't taking him on as a client, but I wanted to know what was going on. I convinced him to tell me what happened. Turns out he bought a computer back in the 1990s. It had just recently died, but not because it was old and just stopped working. It was slow, so he picked it up and threw it out a 2-story window, and then he wanted to sue the manufacturer for breaking warranty. When I was a federal prosecutor, an NCIS agent wanted me to prosecute federally someone living near the base for flying the US flag the wrong way. I didn't. He was miffed. Not a lawyer but worked for a large national insurer who dealt with frivolous lawsuits frequently. Idiot is visiting friends in the country and gets drunk. Decides to wander across the street to the driveway of a farm. Ignores the multiple signs that say, "No trespassing" and "Beware dog" in both English and Spanish. Gets to the end of the driveway and there's a large dog chained to a post in the front yard barking its head off at him. Farmer comes out and tells the idiot to stay away from the dog. Idiot says something to the effect that he's good with dogs and tries to pet the dog. Dog takes off his finger and the idiot drops his beer bottle as he runs back the way he came. Owner tries to save the finger for reattachment but the guy disappears, and so the farmer turns everything over to the police. Shortly thereafter we denied the idiot's claim and he lawyers up. Every time he lawyered up we'd send the documents to the lawyer. Lawyer would review and then drop the case. Happened multiple times. Idiot insisted we needed to pay for his emotional trauma. SMH. Not really stupid but unbelievable. My friend at work, his girlfriend filed for divorce a few weeks ago. That's right. They aren't married and common law doesn't apply in WA state. They lived together for 5 years. She has a job. She isn't on the mortgage. And she left him a few months ago. There are no kids involved. They were never engaged. In the divorce she wants him to leave his house and she wants to move back in. She wants him to pay her $2,800 a month for some reason. I referred him to my divorce attorney and now that attorney is probably going to represent him. The chick is nuts. She has already tried to get a restraining order against him that was dismissed. A lady once called asking us to sue her neighbors. They were using voodoo on her. Fortunately, she had psychic powers and thus knew what they were doing. I respectfully declined. Voodoo only works if you believe it does. Just tell any targets to stop believing in it, because believing gives it power. Guy was arrested for marijuana possession. Arresting officer never actually opened the tinfoil bundle involved and checked that it was, in fact, not a burrito. I mean, he's got a point. If the arresting officer genuinely never confirmed the substance, doesn't he have a point? I don't know how to better express my thoughts on this. Scroding's tinfoil wrap. Not a lawyer, but I refused a second date with a woman after she told me, "You can't break up with me without my permission. I have power of attorney." I confused her to no end when I responded, "For who?" "No, I've never heard from her again." You confused her with poor grammar, because it should have been "for whom," case closed. Bake 'em away, toys. My dad is a public defender and he had to defend this guy that stole a cop car from the jail parking lot. He claimed that it was a gift from God and was intended for him. Of course a police chase ensued and it went into the nearby highway, I-5 for those who know it. When he was finally pulled over about 5 minutes and 7 miles later, the guy got out of the car completely naked except for a pair of leather cowboy boots. Well, one time he had to represent these two guys who broke into someone's house while the owner was home. It was late and the guys bust down the front door with a sledgehammer and the owner was right near the entranceway. They smacked him in the head with the sledgehammer and split. However, their hammer attack didn't knock the guy out, and he got to the window to see them speed off in a bright purple PT Cruiser. Not the best getaway car. The guy calls 911 and an APB is put out for a purple PT Cruiser. An ambulance and some cops get to the guy's house. The police find a single leather glove on the ground and the homeowner says it belonged to the guy who hit him. About half an hour later, not too far away, a purple PT Cruiser is pulled over and it has 2 passengers. The driver is wearing one leather glove and at his feet is a bloody sledgehammer. The best part, they wanted to plead not guilty. I mean, the fact that they had a purple PT Cruiser shows that they are not capable of making proper decisions. For starters. A woman wanted to sue Walmart because they called the police, who then arrested her for disorderly conduct because she got into a physical altercation with an employee while doing her intake. I made a bullet-pointed list titled, "Why we shouldn't take this case." One of the points was that she had a history of suing her former attorneys.